It's a sad day for the Valorant community as it is official that Tenz and Sacy are retiring from Pro Valorant. Two of some of the greatest players the game has ever seen have decided to move on to greener pastures, Sacy being one of the best Brazilian players to ever play the game and Tenz essentially being the face of Valorant. These two have very long and storied careers and they will truly be missed. So in this video to pay tribute to both players, I will be doing a quick look at the achievements that these players got, as well as looking at some player stats at Champions 2024 to look at how they did in their last pro tournament. In the future, I will be doing more in-depth looks at both of these players' careers. That will be coming in hopefully the near future, but for now, I want to do a quick look just to talk about the news while it's still fresh. So this is the board we have today, and we're going to be starting with talking about each player's achievements. Starting with Tenz, I put down every tournament that he won with Sentinels, as well as some other achievements that aren't exactly tournament wins or maybe off-season wins. Starting with NA Masters 2021, a tournament that is kind of forgotten, but when people do remember it, it is known for the fact that Tenz was swapped out for Sinatra after Sinatra's controversy, which was of course a very unfortunate situation, but it did give Tenz the opportunity and he did not waste it. Ended up being the best player at that tournament, really helping Sentinels win that one. First place at NA Masters, the only NA Masters as they then switched to the international format. People forget that Masters were just regional tournaments at the very start, and then stage 2 Masters was Rankovic. Of course, it doesn't work like that now, so it didn't put down any regional championships aside from that one. But of course, building off of that Masters 1 win, he then helped Sentinels qualify for Rankovic. Rankovic being the very first international tournament in the VCT. And Sentinels didn't just win, but Sentinels was bar none the best player in the world at that tournament. Not only being the main player that got them the win, but also getting the ACS record in any VCT international tournament. 289.4 ACS for him, just an insane number, and it has not been broken to date, and I don't know if it ever will. I welcome a change in records, but for that one, since Tenz is retiring, I hope that that one just stays Tenz. It's an insanely high number, nearly 300 ACS throughout the entire tournament, Sentinels going undefeated. Then, of course, there was the period of 2022 and 2023 where Sentinels were not very good. There were questions about Tenz's ability as a player, maybe him as a duelist just wasn't working out anymore. But after the disastrous 2023, Tenz decides to re-sign with the team and does a role switch. Ends up playing Omen, which allows Zekken to take over the duelist role, and Tenz became one of the best controllers in the entire game. Absolutely frying as Omen, playing a bit of a kind of Smokes initiator mix, playing a little bit of Gecko here and there, a little bit of Euro as well, so not totally moved away from the duelist role. But after a very good offseason winning Africa TV, which I did put down on the board, they went on to win Masters Madrid, the very first international tournament of 2024, and it was a very tough run for them. I know there are some Sentinels haters that say, oh, that was a fluke tournament, look at the teams that were there, but a lot of teams that were at that tournament did end up going on to other international tournaments this year. I don't think it was a fluke. Yes, Sentinels had a very good offseason, so they were very ready heading into the 2024 season, but that just goes to show that preparation is everything, and it showed other teams that, yeah, maybe we should take the offseason more seriously, and maybe we should look to build our teams for long-term success like Sentinels did. And Tenz was a very important part of that Masters Madrid run, looking yet again like one of the best players in the world. And then, of course, after that, Sentinels have a bit of a lull period. They weren't very good in stage 1 in the Americas, end up missing out on Shanghai, but they did rally back and qualified for Champions 2024. Kind of backed their way into that one because they went in off of championship points. But with the team knowing that this was going to be Tenz's last tournament, he did tell the team before the season started they did their best to not waste it and end up getting 4th at Champions 2024. A lot of people doubting Sentinels heading into that tournament, saying they were the most overrated team, but I felt like it was kind of the opposite. I felt like they were kind of underrated because a lot of people were like, yeah, they're not going to go very far. But off the back of some very impressive play by both Zekken and Tenz, they had a very good run. Of course, it did not end up the way that they wanted it to. They did get 4th, losing to Team Heretics, who went on to the grand final. Zekken especially doing his best to get his buddy a trophy. He was going insane in that last match, but it just didn't work. They end up getting 4th. So that is one unfortunate thing about Tenz's career in Pro Valorant, is that he never took home a Champions trophy. But hey, 2 Masters win, one of them being the very first international tournament of the entire Esports, as well as probably the best performance we've ever seen at any tournament ever. I think think that's a pretty damn good career. Moving on, we have Sacy's career, which isn't exactly as decorated with personal achievements, but definitely has some very high heights. When you compare both careers in terms of achievements, it is pretty similar. Just like Tenz, Sacy did end up winning the very first regional masters for Brazil, winning that one with Team Vikings. But after Team Vikings had some pretty mediocre results at the international level, Sacy does end up moving on with Sadoc and ends up joining Loud, who immediately make an impact. Going undefeated in Brazil, Loud keeping that undefeated against Brazilian teams until this year. They were bar none the best Brazilian team to ever touch the game. And they end up taking that success in region to the international level and looked like potentially the best team in the world. Ended up going all the way to grand finals at Reykjavik 2022, just couldn't get the win over Optic. Second for Sacy and the rest of Loud, starting what was one of the best rivalries in Valorant that we've seen, Optic versus Loud. They would eventually get their revenge on Optic and win Champions 2022, looking very dominant during that tournament as well. Upper bracket run for Loud, Sacy being a very important part of that run. Sacy alongside Pancada would then make their move to Sentinels. And just like I said with Tenz, after a disastrous 2023, Sacy would find himself winning yet another tournament at Madrid. And of course, Sacy has the same achievements on Sentinels that Tenz does because they were on the same team. So two very decorated careers, 2 tournament wins for both of them. Sacy having a Champions and a Masters win. I believe he's currently the only player to have that. But looking at the stats of each player for the Champions 2024 tournament, both players played really well. Starting off with Tenz, he had a rating of 1.10 and ACS of 213.4, still a very impressive number. He had 271 kills, 251 deaths, 158 assists for a KD ratio of 1.08. Again, mainly playing Omen, playing controller, having a very solid KD ratio is impressive. And of course, stats don't tell the whole story because Tenz's utility usage is very good as well. So he pleases both just the regular base stats, but as an overall player, really, really impactful. And when it comes to Sacy, throughout the year, you could make the argument that he was Sentinel's worst player. When you look at the individual stats, they aren't as good as other players on the team, but Sacy's value isn't just that. And at Champions, he really turned it up as well, having some pretty solid stats overall. A rating of 1.01, an ACS of 190.1, 222 kills, 247 deaths, 162 assists for KD ratio of 0.90. Very solid numbers for the role that he's playing. Maybe you want a bit more kills out of them, but Sacy is known for his clutch moments. The way that I think about Sacy's performance in 2024 is very simple. While in terms of just overall play, just in general, he's not the most skilled player. You're not going to see him getting the crazy kills that Second does. You're not going to see him putting up the same number as Tenz, but in those big moments, in those important moments, he showed his veteran prowess. He was very good for Sentinels in some of the biggest games of the year. Sometimes he would have a map or two where he gets like 5 kills or 8 kills and looks like he shouldn't be there. But then you'll see him in moments like when he was playing Loud in Madrid, where he just destroyed his old team in some of the biggest rounds. Sacy was always a big game player, always saving his best Valorant for the most important moments, and that is what some of the most important players in the game do. So while you could look at the individual stats and the overall stats and think, oh, Sacy, he was bad anyway, that's just not true. His overall util usage is very good as well. He was one of the most important parts of both Loud and Sentinels during their tournament wins, and he will be remembered as one of the best Brazilian players to ever touch the game. So that is everything on the board that I have to talk about both these players, and I just want to say I'm really going to miss both of them. Tenz especially, I have been watching Valorant Esports since the inception of it, and Tenz has always been a big part of it. As I said earlier, he is the face of Valorant. When you think about Valorant, when you think about Valorant players, you probably think of Tenz. And for all the hate he got during the years of 2022 and 2023, people saying he was washed, people saying, oh, he's just terrible now, look at how he plays Jet, look at how he is on Duelist, he can't play this character, he doesn't have a deep agent pool. All these different things coupled with the fact that his fiance at the time got cancer, he was getting sick a lot as well, things in his personal life weren't always easy. He ended up persevering through all of that, came back in 2024, wanted to end his career on a good note, and won a tournament, and looked like one of the best players in the world while doing that. That is something I will always respect him for. No one would have blamed him if after the 2023 season, he decided to hang him up. No one would blame him. He has a great stream. I think he's a great content creator. He didn't need to continue playing pro Valorant. It would have made a lot of sense for him to retire after that year, because it looked like maybe he wasn't as good anymore and things in his personal life getting rocky. You should go focus on that. But he decided to persevere, push through adversity, and look amazing while doing it. So just super hats off to him. Sacy as well, just absolutely insane player. Just massive respect to both of these players. Valorant Esports will not be the same without him. I'm sad that I won't be able to use Tenz in my thumbnails as much anymore, so that's sad. But all jokes aside, really love both these players. Will be missed dearly, and this is why you shouldn't say that rosters are going to stay the same. I saw a lot of people commenting in multiple different roster videos that I've done where they're like, oh yeah, no, they aren't going to keep the roster. They just got fourth at champs. They just won Madrid. Sentinels aren't going to make any changes, right? This is why you should never be that confident, because even though a roster is successful, even though there are the reasons why, yeah, they should keep these players, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Players' priorities changes, teams' priority changes. This is why you should never be confident in roster moves not happening. But all that aside, thank you to both of these players, especially Tenz. You made this fellow Canadian very proud. I was very happy that one of the best players to ever play the game is Canadian. That is something I will always love. So yet again, thank you guys for just putting in the work, becoming some of the best players to ever play the game. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about both of these players retiring. How do you remember Tenz and Sacy? What are your favorite moments for both players? Let me know in the comments down below. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. And Tenz and Sacy, you will be missed. Bye.